Sorry for my late arrival, but you guys are used to me being a little bit late. Excuse me. Anyways, welcome to our week 9 design reveal. I'm Paula Montgomery from Desert Cat Creations, and I'm looking forward to making a pendant with you today. We are going to use some interesting things in our pendant, but hey, it's going to be a fun design. Excited about it. Hope you guys all had a great week. My week has been a little bit up and down. So I have perhaps good news and perhaps bad news. It all depends on your perspective. Okay, so I was supposed to be heading to Egypt and Jordan next week. Out of abundance of caution, the tour group has canceled our trip. So, bad news for me. Potentially good news for you if you're looking forward to seeing me over the next 3 weeks, because I wasn't going to be available. Or it could be bad news because you'd already made plans and now you have to struggle with whether you want to see me or not, right? But I will not be going on my trip in the immediate future, obviously. So I will be here, which means I will also be able to ship bunny kits and we'll be able to, you know, celebrate St. Patty's Day and all sorts of things this month, okay? So, anyways, I hope that you guys don't mind that I'm still going to be here, and instead of possibly missing 2 to 3 weeks, I will be here. So, I do have other travel plans this year, but not until May now. So, there we go. So you're stuck with me. All right. Let's see. What else do we have going on? We do have, and I need to put out a proper advertisement because I haven't, our limited edition metallic bunny kits. So those are available for $15, I think, is what I had. Let me double check. Pretty sure it was $15. You get the 2 bunnies. They're limited edition just because I only have a limited number of parts, and I don't think, yeah, $15 for the pair. At the moment, I don't think I will be able to get more parts, but we'll see if people like them in the future. But anyways, that's what I've got going on. And, you know, the other good news about me not being gone is that I will get to work on, I really want to put out another deck of cards this year, and maybe 2. So I need to get on those, get the printing orders placed for those so that I can get them out to you. And I've got some other fun things to go along with them. So anyways, that's where we're at. Let's go ahead and get started on our project. I'll flip you over. Yeah, let's do a little zoom in. So, just a reminder, this is what we will be working on today. So we're going to make a pendant, and then, so we need to use a carabiner clasp. So I've got one of those. So basically, you know, a carabiner clasp can have a swing hinge or a screw, really, because you see both everyone. Hey, Marianica. So we got that. We have to use yellow in our design, so I got out a few. Got some yellow flower beads. I've got just some plain yellow check glass in a few variety of shapes, so we'll see what we end up using there. All right, so there's our yellow. I have to use turtles, so I pulled out some of our turtle spacer beads friends. Okay, and then I have to design it to inspired by a ship. So I do have a anchor, because you know ships have to have anchors. I also pulled out I have some check glass beads with anchors on them, so we might use those. Wanted to add a little more color to my design than just yellow. And then I have a few other, you know, like sort of blue beads because, you know, ships have to be in water, right? And water comes in a variety of colors. So anyways, that's what we're going to work with. All right. So I thought that would be just fun to mess around with today. So that's what we're going to work with. Now remember, if you're supposed to make a pendant, you could make a pendant on its own, whatever you want to do, and then you could put all these other things into a necklace where you use that pendant, right? So just remember. But I'm actually going to put all those things into my pendant, all right? So let's get our string here. One's really faded, but I'll have to use that one later. So what I was thinking is I'm going to make this clasp what attaches to the chain, okay? So what I'm going to do is just put a bunch of dangles on the clasp, and we'll see what we have here. I bought a couple bags of like mixed check glass, that's the old stuff, so some of these have really interesting shapes and textures. Really not sure what this one was supposed to be, but I like the blue color. Got that. Like I said, we've got a couple yellows in here. It's a bright, you know, some bright yellows, not just dull yellow, right? And sort of a tropical flower. So, you know, we can put as many things on here as we want. We can make them long. We can make them short. Now, I could just use like a bunch of head pins to do this. But I think I might, you know, just do some wire wrapping and make some, you know, loops that'll all fit on my clasp, okay? So I gotta make sure they're big enough to fit onto there. So I think maybe we'll do this guy first, the anchor. So I don't know how long I want things to be. You know, that one might be better with like something short. Maybe anchors have to go deep, so let's use a darker blue bead with our anchor. And I'm just going to pull out some craft wire here, and we are going to make some wrapped loops today. All right. All right, so let's put that on here. And the first thing I'm going to do is attach my anchor charm. Again, you want to make the loop big enough that it can have some movement there, because that's the fun of having things that can move around, right? So. All right, so we've got our blue anchor, you know, and I could use like spacer beads on these on the glass beads, but I'm not going to. All right, so then I am just making my loop. Now I want to make a big enough loop that it'll be able to slide on there. I think we're good. Hey, Lorraine. We are making our pendant. Our ship-inspired turtle, whatever, pendant. All right. And we are just going to tuck those ends in. All right, so there's our first dangle off there, right? So let's do something with yellow. See what we've got here. I could do it this way. I don't necessarily need to do 3 things. I could do 2 things. I'll just do 2. Let's use the bigger one. All right, since this guy is a bead, and so is this, I need something to stop them. So since I'm using 20 gauge, I am not going to try to make I'm not going to try to make a long, you know, like one of those knotted head pins. I'm just going to do something very simple. Or maybe, I don't know any. I wish I had some smaller beads out here. Okay. Anyways, we are just going to I'm going to slide this guy on. You know what? I think I'm actually. Let me change my mind. I'm not going to use that guy. I'm so confused here today. I don't know what I want to do. Let's do the flower and the one little guy. Okay. All right. So I need to do something at the end of this. So I am just going to take my round tip pliers. I'm going to go close to the end. And we're just going to make what we call one of our little simple loops, okay? And then that's going to go right there on our turtle. Now we could have put a bead in there, but I am going to not put a bead in there. So Lorraine, is it warming up there in the Northeast yet? Haven't been paying attention to the weather, so. All right, so we've got a little dangle. Now I'm going to attach that to something else. What do you think? Should I use this this funky yellow bead or the flower? You guys have an opinion? All right, funky or flower, guys? Funky or flower? Funky? You vote for funky? All right. I'm trying to, just to save us a little time here today, I'm trying to find some silver. I'm going to use a couple of head pins to cheat so I don't have to be on here forever. All right, we'll do the funky one. All right, why does that not want to? 43, oh my goodness. It is nice and warm here. We been in the 70s, very, very pleasant. I know that's not nice to hear if you're one of those in the snow, but you know, that's why we live in Tucson, because we have nice mild winters. We've had an exceptionally mild winter this year, so. Which the thing I always find confusing is the mild winters actually help some of the plants around here. Although I'm sure some of it is irrigation systems. But I was at my cousin's house last night, and they have a number of fruit trees. And they were all just covered in blooms. Yeah, 70's nice. I'm usually pretty happy between 60s and, you know, even 85. I'll deal with 85, you know. All right. So now we're going to make our loop that's going to go onto our clasp. So we need to make the hole a little bigger. All right. All right, we've got 2 dangles. So we've got this guy. I don't know what I want to use with him, because I was thinking I would make the other turtles kind of chase each other. I don't have to use this anchor because I do already have an anchor. I'll think about that. All right, let's all right, I want to make these turtles sort of, you know, chasing each other, because the mamas or the babies always swim after the mamas, right? What do you think? The big, should I make a big bead dangling from there, or I could do this smaller one? All right, 1, 2, or 3 with the turtles. Over one? All right. Uh-oh, 1 and 3. Well, I'm going to go with 1 since I saw the 1 first, okay? So. Okay, 1. Thanks. Thanks, Mariana. All right, I'm cheating and I'm using a, well, not cheating, but I'm using a head pin so I don't have to make one. Hopefully it's long enough. These are those steel ones, so I don't always. We'll see if we can get it to wrap somewhat decently around here and cover that space. If not, we are going to switch to the longer head pins. All right. No, I really, I should just throw those head pins away because they make my life difficult. All right, Janelda. We are making some pendants today, so lots of wire wrapping. Nothing you haven't seen before. I wonder if yeah, I was gonna say I could do just a small one, but we'll do that. Hearing helicopters outside. Alrighty, here we go. Those are better. Head pins. Alright, now remember, if we're putting something on like a turtle that has a little opening back here, it's kind of like the tops of our hearts, but the bottom, we want to do the bottom one side first. So we can just slide the bead back down there instead of trying to wrap it. Okay. So I'm switching up, a couple of these little dangles so that, my colorful beads are at different levels, and I don't want, all the silver beads at the bottom. And now we can just make a nice little closed loop on this guy, because we're going to add another bead to the top. All right, that was not. What did I do there? There we go. This is not a very good wrap. Goodness sakes. All right. try not to crush his head, huh? All right, and now we got to do that again because we need the mama to be swimming above the daddy, or I mean the baby. Goodness sakes. All right. Having troubles getting that to wrap. Let's see if we, there we go. Sometimes, like I said, if I can't get things to wrap, I have to say these needle nose are like by far my favorite pliers. All right, let's get mama down here. And we're just gonna make another loop. Now this one has to be big enough to go on our clasp, right? So. All right, I'm going to twist that because I want my turtles to be hanging in the same direction, right? So. All right, so there's another one. So let's make two more. I think I want to use this bead and maybe the flower. So and we're going to use our head pin. Now, since this flower has 5 points, you know, it's this same kind of thing. One of the holes is going to be, you know, indented a little bit. So that's the one I want. Well, you can decide. Actually, you know what? I think, even though it's going to be a little harder to wrap, I actually think I'm going to dangle the flower that way. I don't know that it really matters, but all right, we do our 90 degrees, then we stick our pliers on there, we make our loop, and then I'm going to hold that while I wrap this down. Now, since I have a slight indentation there, what I'm going to have to do is kind of twist the bead at the same time as I'm twisting this so that I can tuck it in there, right? And then I can stick my chain nose down there in theory and tuck that in, but I am gonna again use my needle nose. All right, so I have a little dangle. we're going to put off of this one. Now, you know, for a design like this, you could make as many or as little or as few as dangles as you want. And because we're using this clasp, the way we're going to use it, you can actually change it up. So if you had different colors that you wanted to use, or you want to go with all yellow one day or all blue one day, you will be able to switch those out as you see fit. Okay? All right. Part of this is your user error, guys. You know that, right? I am struggling. Struggling today. Here. All right. So my wire went kind of sideways. I am going to push it up, and I'm going to use this bead to press it even tighter so I can tuck in that end. Okay. And this one's going on there, so needs to be big enough, right, to slide onto our clasp. Now, if I wanted to, I could have just attached these all directly to the clasp, but which, you know, in the end is pretty much the same. It's just a little easier to deal with this way. All right, so I want to make one more. So let's see what we've got here left over. So we've got an anchor charm, we got a blue bead, we got a yellow bead, a couple other yellow beads, and there's some little ones. I'll just move those out of the way. I think maybe an anchor. And we could use a smaller funky bead, or I could use a brighter happy yellow. Or we could kind of go all blue. Put a yellow in the middle. There, I don't know if this is long enough to do what I want to do, so we may have to adjust, but I want to show you guys what I'm thinking here. So we can make that a dangle. That's kind of fun, huh? Anybody like that one? The other thing is we can use that instead of the blue bead. I like the blue bead personally. Since I didn't use it earlier, Marionic, I'll use the blue bead for you on this one. So, all right. So I'm going to make and this might just barely. You know what? Let's see. I am going to make a very small space between my my bead and the loop here. All right, we'll see if we can get that to wrap. Let's use our super skinny guys. Grab that end, pull it around. I think we just made it. All right. So now comes the moment of truth as to whether or not our loops will fit over the screw part, which it's looking like they might not. So, See, this is why I don't like this particular. I should have paid attention. I was thinking it was not the screw end. So, the question of what we do, we have a couple of choices. One would be to get out a different clasp, which is not simple, or we can use some jump rings. See if we can use some jump rings. All right, we will problem solve here. We can do this. I don't remember where I bought those that particular carabiner clasp, but I do not recommend them. I think I might have gotten them at like Hobby Lobby or something. So I'm going to put this guy on first. So remember, we turned our jump ring sideways. Now we could also, let's think about this a minute. All right, so we can put those all on with jump rings. The other thing we could do is wire wrap directly to this and then make a big loop that holds all of our charms. But I think we're gonna use the jump rings, which is why you should always have jump rings around in case you can't connect things, right? So. And again, I'm twisting. Remember, you kind of want to push it together gently as you're going back and forth. These are stainless steel jump rings, so they actually will hold pretty well. If you're using like aluminum ones or copper ones, you have to be a little careful. They'll make sure they're closed tightly because they do have a tendency to bend. Now, I'm purposely moving these around as I'm putting them on here, so let's look and see, we've got that. So think I want to put the blue one next to the yellow bead. All right, one more. We're going to put it on the other side. I don't know if any of you remember, but when I was a kid, so, you know, that was a while ago, they had those necklaces that had charm holders, and you could just add a bunch of charms to your necklace and have fun with it. But all right, there we go. I mean, it's a little busy with the but you know, it'd be a fun dangle off a chain. You could pull out a piece of chain real quick, and we could, so you could slide your necklace through here, you know, just slide that onto the chain, and then, you know, with this size I'd probably make it a little longer necklace, so more of in the like 24 to 30 inch range, so it hangs, you know, down further. Let's see if we can, I don't have a chain that long handy, so we will just make her. All right, I'll do 30. Pull out a little clasp real quick. Clasps and with some little teeny tiny jump rings. Alright, so I'm going to add a lobster clasp to one side of my chain real quick. We got that closed up. All right. So let's put this on. Actually, doesn't matter. We can change it around. All right, let me put that clasp on, put it over my head, and we'll go look at it. Yay. All right, I'll move back. But so there's, with the 30-inch chain, my pendant that we made today. Woo! It kind of blends with my outfit. I didn't think about that, but yeah, you could put anything you wanted. You know, you could take some of these off if you thought it was too busy. you make whatever you like and makes sense for you guys, okay? So that was our pendant for the day. We used yellow, we used turtles, we used our clasp, and all as part of our pendant, right? They do have fancier ones of these that have really pretty screws. The screw part is like pave, and they're pretty. They're not cheap. So. All right. So that was our week 9 project. We'll be back on Sunday at noon to do our week 10 drawing. I don't know what I'm going to do this weekend yet, but I will figure it out. As I said at the beginning, so originally I was supposed to be leaving on vacation on Tuesday, but I was going to Egypt and Jordan, and my trip has been canceled. So we will be rescheduling it for some point in the future. But you will get to see me for the rest of March, so I won't be going anywhere. Or if I go anywhere, it's going to be a weekend, and we'll figure that out. But because I also have a lot of free time in the next few weeks, so I'm trying to make myself take advantage of that. But anyways, I will be on Sunday. We will be here for week 10. We'll draw our cards, and we will make some sort of project. And I hope you guys will join me. So as always, thanks for your support. You know, you can always support me for free by liking and following Desert Cat Creations at Facebook and on Instagram, and subscribe to me on YouTube. It's completely free, and it really helps out my business, gets me more visibility with others so that things can start looking up. And I will also be able to ship for the next couple weeks our metallic bunny set. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I will put up a proper ad. You can either message me directly, or I will have it up on the website. Again, it's $15 for 2 bunnies, and they can be at your house in plenty of time before Easter. So if you're new to the bunny kits, they are not they are one of my simpler designs, but they're a lot of fun. So many of you, I know, have enjoyed making them with me through the years. And I, just like rabbits, they multiply. I start making them, and then I keep making more and more and more. So it's a sickness. I realize that. So. Anyways, all right. I hope you guys all have a great day and a great weekend, and I will see you on Sunday. As always, the videos are saved onto YouTube, so you can find them there. If it's more than 30 days, they disappear from Facebook, but they will be over on YouTube. So I hope to see you around, and have a great weekend. Bye.